Ilbuini. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to give you an easier understanding of the Seoul Economic Daily's front page stories.
That's right. And today, for you, our listener, we're digging into 4 really significant developments. We've got international trade talks, a pretty surprising legal outcome for a major corporation, a big political shift in Japan, and some cutting-edge financial tech news.
Okay, so let's unpack this. These aren't just headlines floating around. These 4 stories, they genuinely impact the economic and political environment you're navigating. We should probably start with the big one, the diplomatic news.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, first up, the Korea-U.S. tariff negotiations. The focus seems to be on this huge $350 billion U.S. investment fund. Sources are saying Korea really pulled off a win for its national interest here. What was the actual breakthrough?
Well, the main sticking point initially was the U.S. position. They basically wanted the whole fund to be an all-cash investment from Korea.
Right, putting all the financial pressure squarely on Seoul.
Exactly. Huge strain, huge risk. The breakthrough is that the Korean negotiators managed to persuade the U.S. to shift away from that. Now it's looking like a mix. Investment plus a loan or guarantee structure.
Okay, so less cash upfront for Korea.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It significantly minimizes the direct cash proportion Korea needs to put forward. It's a big technical win.
But there's more to it strategically, isn't there? The reports also mention Korea gaining more say over where the fund invests, and this seems key, how the profits are shared, the sukbebun. Why is that so important?
That's crucial because it changes Korea's role.
Yeah.
Instead of just being, a passive provider of funds, taking the risk and waiting for returns, having influence over profit sharing and investment decisions makes Korea an active partner. You get oversight, you can ensure the investments align with Korea's strategic goals too, not just the U.S. view. It's a real step up diplomatically and financially.
And the timing on this looks like we might see something concrete soon.
Yeah, the expectation is maybe a joint statement or at least some kind of partial agreement, possibly around the upcoming APEC summit in Gyeongju.
But there's still one hurdle left. Something about securing the justification, the Myeongbun. What does that mean practically?
Right, the Myeongbun. It's about the politics back home. It means making sure that the Korean public, the opposition parties, everyone sees this deal as a genuine win for the country.
So it's about selling the deal domestically.
Pretty much. You need that political legitimacy.
Yeah.
The technical details can be settled, but the negotiation isn't truly finished until you've won the narrative at home. It's high-stakes political maneuvering right to the end.
Okay, shifting gears now quite dramatically from geopolitics to corporate legal battles, we saw a really surprising verdict concerning Kakao's founder, Kim Baeom-soo.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking. A first-instance ruling, and he, along with former exec Bae Jae-hyo and Kakao itself, were all acquitted on those SM entertainment market manipulation charges.
Completely acquitted. It's a huge turnaround, especially, 14 months after the initial indictment? So the court acknowledged Kakao bought a lot of stock, and that influenced the price, but decided it wasn't manipulation. What was their reasoning? How did they pick apart the prosecution's argument?
Well, the core seems to be about intent. The court looked at a few things. First, the timing and the spacing of Kakao's stock orders didn't really fit the usual pattern you see in manipulation cases.
Okay.
Second, there was already a lot of market buzz, expectations that SM's stock price would rise anyway. And third, this was critical, the court concluded that Kakao didn't absolutely need to acquire SM's management rights. Meaning they were in a competitive bidding war, sure, but the acquisition wasn't presented as some kind of do-or-die essential move for Kakao's survival. Without that absolute necessity, the court felt the argument for deliberate manipulative intent just wasn't strong enough.
Okay, but here's the part that really stood out to me, and it could have, huge ripple effects. The court openly criticized the prosecution's methods.
Yes. That was remarkable. A very strong public critique. The judge specifically mentioned getting statements through intense investigation of separate cases, that's Byul-jin Susa, and using psychological pressure, saying it can distort the truth.
Explain Byul-jin Susa a bit more. Why is it so controversial for the court to call it out?
So Byul-jin Susa is basically when prosecutors use a different, maybe unrelated or minor investigation as leverage. They investigate someone on case B to pressure them into giving testimony or a confession about the main case A.
Ah, okay. Pressure tactics.
Exactly. And for a judge to publicly condemn that, saying it risks distorting the truth, that's almost unheard of. It signals a real pushback from the judiciary against perceived overreach by prosecutors.
Right. Kim Byung-soo said he hoped this lets Kakao move past the shadow of stock manipulation. But bigger picture, this ruling feels like it could set a precedent, maybe change how investigations into big companies, especially for economic crimes, happen in Korea going forward. That potential shift in power dynamics is really interesting.
Absolutely. It's one to watch.
All right, let's move across the water now to Japan, a major political development. Takaichi Sane, she's 64, is the new prime minister. Japan's 104th, and significantly the first woman PM in their parliamentary history, which spans, 140 years?
That's right, a historic first. But, as you hinted, the story of how she got there is just as important, maybe more so in the immediate term.
How so?
Well, it wasn't straightforward. Her path to power involved forming a rather dramatic and frankly unexpected coalition. She teamed up with the conservative Japan Innovation Party. This happened after the LDP's longtime, more moderate coalition partner, Komeito, actually defected.
So Komeito leaving opened the door for this new, more strongly right-wing alliance.
Precisely. And this creates what's being called a right-wing coalition, which likely means a significant policy shift.
Okay, and the implications. Komeito often acted as a sort of break on the more assertive conservative policies, right? So
Yeah. Now, you can expect that break to be off. We're likely looking at an acceleration of policies like increased defense spending. There's talk of potentially introducing nuclear submarines, loosening Japan's quite strict arms export rules, and definitely a renewed push for revising the constitution.
Wow, okay. That's bound to cause ripples across East Asia.
For sure. It raises immediate concerns, particularly for South Korea and China.
And Takeichi herself brings some baggage, especially regarding historical issues.
Yes, that's the immediate flashpoint. She's known for holding quite strong right-wing historical views. She regularly visits the Yasukuni Shrine, which is controversial, and she's been critical of the Moriyama Statement, that key apology acknowledging Japan's past aggression.
So renewed friction with Seoul seems almost inevitable.
It's highly likely, unfortunately. But interestingly, on the economic front, she's often compared to Shinzo Abe. They call her the female Abe, or Yoja Abe.
Because she favors similar economic policies.
Yeah, advocating for expansionary fiscal and monetary policies, kind of like Abenomics. And actually, the expectation of her continuing that approach has already helped push Japan's stock market to new highs. She's also confirmed for the APEC summit, so that'll be a really interesting first stage for regional diplomacy.
Definitely one to watch closely.
Okay, our final deep dive today is in the world of fintech, financial technology. Pyosco International, a major Korean trading company, has just become the first big Korean firm to adopt a blockchain-based global payment system. They're partnering with JP Morgan and Kyndryl.
Right, blockchain payments. So break this down for us. What problem does this actually solve for a company like Pyosco? How is it better than, say, the traditional way of sending money internationally?
The traditional way usually relies on the SWIFT system, and SWIFT is essentially a messaging system between banks. It often involves multiple intermediary banks relaying the message and the funds.
Which means delays and costs, right?
Exactly. It can easily take a day, sometimes more, for the money to arrive, and the fees can add up, sometimes unpredictably because of all the banks involved. This new system aims to fix that.
How does it work then, this Kyndryl system with JP Morgan?
It uses what's called distributed ledger technology, or DLT basically, a secure shared digital record book, and JPM Coin, which is JP Morgan's own digital coin, like a stable coin, designed for institutional payments.
Okay, so walk me through a transfer. Pyosco in Korea wants to pay its U.S. subsidiary.
Okay, so Pyosco International deposits Korean won into JP Morgan Korea. That gets converted instantly into JPM Coin. The JPM Coin is sent almost immediately over the blockchain network to JP Morgan Chase in the U.S.
Yeah, then.
The U.S. subsidiary can then instantly convert the JPM Coin back into U.S. dollars and access the funds. The whole process can take minutes, not days.
Minutes versus days. That's huge. Saves time, cuts costs, and presumably reduces risks from currency swings during the delay.
Precisely. And there's a major security benefit, too. Because it's a shared ledger, both the sender and receiver have the same record of the transaction, updated simultaneously. It makes it virtually impossible for one party to unilaterally change, forge, or tamper with the transaction details.
Better traceability, better reliability. Makes sense for complex international trade.
Definitely. Pyosco plans to use it first for transfers between its 128 global branches. They handle something like 40,000 international transfers a year, so this is a significant move towards digital transformation for them.
Yeah, that sounds impressive. But you mentioned Pyosco is the first major Korean firm.
Yeah.
Why has adoption been slower here compared to, say, Europe, where you have platforms like We.Trade or commodity traders using Comgo.
Yeah, that's a good point. The main drag seems to be regulatory uncertainty within Korea. While the technology is ready, companies often point to complexities around domestic accounting standards, foreign exchange regulations, and particularly stringent anti-money laundering rules that haven't fully adapted to blockchain-based systems yet.
So the tech is there, but the local rulebook needs to catch up a bit.
That seems to be the bottleneck the industry feels needs addressing for wider adoption to really take off here.
No, Aldo. Ei, Tamgi. Oh no.